this movie and what people thought of it.
Oh, yeah. So I can understand whenever a movie doesn't actively
like tell you that war is bad.
Yeah. Or condemns, especially then America.
Yeah.
They just think then it's not just a bad representation of reality. It is also then all of a sudden it's not just a movie, it's propaganda. Like anytime you do even the slightest of like propping soldiers up or saying that, well, yeah, the war was bad, but this little combat situation that this troop was in, that was an heroic thing where they no, nothing is. They're all criminals. They're all imperialists and scum. You should always just shit on like American soldiers, and I think that is so. First of all, very narrow-minded.
Yes.
Yeah, you know who else, thinks in such absolutes that there's only black and white?
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
But then but then also racists.
Yeah.
I said it. Yeah. If you cannot see nuance in people, regardless of, color or creed or whatever.
People.
Yeah, just nuance in people, you're a racist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there bad soldiers who did bad things? Of course,
obviously. But there were bad people, bad soldiers who did bad things on all sides of all wars.
Yeah, just to talk about Star Wars more, there was heroes on both sides.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not the point. But what I'm saying is, but there was also, and you can say that because it was an unjust war, every operation, every mission, whatever you want to call it, every skirmish, none of them were justified or can be called heroic.
No, sure.
But that's what I don't buy. Because that is, first of all, generalizing to the point of being not racist then, but bigoted? I don't know what to call it, because you can't be racist towards soldiers. But you know what I mean?
You can be, yeah, there's a word for it.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I can't think of the word, but I know what you mean, yeah.
It's like racism, because like, oh yeah, every soldier is bad.
It's like racism or homophobia. It's
every gay guy
specific.
is gross. Every black guy is stupid. That's the same thing. Oh, every soldier is a bad person. Like, no, they're not.
No, there are good guys who are soldiers too.
Yeah, exactly.
They have good intentions. Some of them,
the guys who drove the Bradley tanks, who did the Casevac, as they call it, who evacuated the wounded soldiers, like they were. And that's why they gave them a special thanks in the end of the credits. Like, they were unequivocally good people who drove. They drove straight into the line of fire, straight into hell, to pick up these people that they didn't know. Yeah. And to not be able to have the intellectual, like, self-reflection. It's like, yeah, like maybe on a macro scale, yeah, the war was bad, but in this situation, none of these people are like committing crimes. None of these people are like being evil. They did what they were told, and they did it for what they believe was a just act. Yeah,
Exactly. There's the difference between, because in some movies they show you all of like the war crimes, where like, oh, there were people who were raping civilians or killing civilians just because. That's the bad guy, no matter which side you're on.
Yeah.
That's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Soldiers who just go in and mainly protect, which is what they do here. They mainly protected. They didn't shoot anyone until they got shot at.
No, yeah. They were going to, but they didn't.
Sure, technically. But like, they're good guys, so to speak. They didn't do anything bad here.
Yeah. And you don't...
I mean, sure, you might say that taking over someone's home just because it's strategic is a bad thing.
And that's also something...
a bad thing.
That's also something...
Doesn't make them a bad guy.
Yeah, that's also something that people refuse to acknowledge. They say like, "Oh, we only see it from the soldier's perspective. We never see the victims of the war." Blah 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 blah. First of all, that's the point of this story. It's a story about these soldiers, told by the very soldiers who were in it.
Yeah.
Come on.
This was how they saw what happened.
There are other stories about that if you want that, you know. There are even movies made by the, there are German World War II movies. There are Middle Eastern, movies about the terrors of war.
Yeah.
Like, you don't say like, oh, they don't depict the horrors of being an American soldier because you don't, and I think that is just blatantly proving that you have a bias against people. You only care about the purported victim. And, yes, they are the victim.
Exactly. We need to get to that part a little bit.
But that doesn't
I
immediately
understand that.
But that doesn't immediately vilify everyone else on the other side. And that's the problem I have with that kind of rhetoric. I'm also thinking about it extra because there's this whole, I don't know if you care. Do you know Hasan Piker?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we all knew he was a moron from years ago. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a goddamn grifter. I mean, even no, I don't. That's not part of the discussion.
That's not the discussion. No.
He recently, though, this all got dragged up again because Ethan Klein, of H3H3 production and now podcast,
they're beefing.
They were beefing, and
they still are, I think.
Yes, ever since
over
their
Palestine
podcasts,
and all that stuff.
Hasan, as he always does, puts his fucking foot in his mouth over and over again because he's a moron. He doesn't actually know what he's talking about when push comes to shove. I mean, he can spout rhetoric, but when they did a live debate between Ethan and Hasan, and none of them were particularly
None of them are very good at, actually...
Not really, but Hasan was just awful. He couldn't answer a single question. Anyway,
he has a tendency to deflect.
God, yes. Anyway, so I'm even more riled up about it because he has that very, very, very narrow mind. Like he cannot sympathize.
Yeah, but the liberal side of it.
Yeah, he just pure far left basically.
Yeah.
He cannot and will not sympathize with, the Israeli side. Now, granted, I would say that Israel are the oppressor.
Sure.
In general.
I'm gonna be honest, I can't. I understand nothing about that. If I'm being honest, it
is a much longer discussion, so we're not going to do that. But where the whole beef started was that he could not even when the attacks or whatever it was when Palestinian soldiers Hamas just massacred I don't know how many civilians. And there were reports of rapes and stuff, and when they were doing their podcast, Ethan of course brought that up because he's Jewish. His wife is Israeli. He lived in Israel for 6 years, and he was shook up about it. And Hasan he could not sympathize at all. He was barely hiding his glee, ooh.
Yeah, I know. I've understood that much, that they are on different sides of it, and they're both kind of just going, my side is the right side, and there's no gray areas between either of them for either of them.
But that's the thing, though.
I've only seen clips, though, so I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen all of it, so I obviously don't know if they have nuances. But from what you see in these compilations and stuff. Yeah. And when you get a clip of Hasan talking about what Ethan has said, it sounds like they're on opposite ends.
Yeah, which they aren't.
Totally black and white. And that's not fair to anyone who is involved in this situation. And I mean that in on the grounds getting attacked.
Yeah,
because it's not just
come
one
back to the
person
movie and come back to this discussion.
One people getting attacked. It's everyone who's a civilian who happens to be in that area getting attacked.
Yeah. What I'm trying to get at is that people cannot detach their political stance and actually, like, even in a super microscopic point of view, like this movie is, it's just about these guys for this short amount of time. They cannot sympathize with them. They cannot.
That's wrong.
And it is so narrow-minded. It is so, well, yeah, like I said, it's not racist, but it's very,
is it bigoted? Is that the word?
I think it's bigoted. Yeah, I'm not sure. And also completely misunderstanding the movie, because not only do they like, oh, I don't sympathize with these guys, they also say, like, there was one guy, there was 2 really bad reviews, but at least one of them gave it a 2 out of 5. That's something. The other guy gave it a half.
Bigotry is the word we're looking for. Obstinate or unreasonable attachment to a belief, opinion, or faction, in particular prejudice against a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular group. So it is bigotry we're looking for. That's the word we were looking for.
Here. Fuck it. I wasn't going to say his name, but I'll say it. Justin Wua. This has 3,353 likes on Letterboxd.
Okay.
Half a star. I won't read the whole thing, it's pretty long, but it starts with a soulless, insidious piece of pseudo-realistic propaganda. And I'm just like,
what?
What are they trying to propagandize here? That war is terrible and you shouldn't join in? Because that's what I got from it. A film that postures as an anti-war statement while reveling in the exact kind of mindless, fetishized destruction that makes war look like an adrenaline-fueled power fantasy rather than the devastating, soul-eroding atrocity that it actually is.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone's basically crying from what they were like experiencing.
Yeah. There's
nothing soulless or like heroic about it.
Yeah. There's no adrenaline-fueled power fantasy. It's laughable that this claims to be a brutally honest portrayal of the horrors of war. No, it isn't. Doesn't say that. Yet it is so utterly obsessed with aestheticizing that horror that it ultimately becomes complicit in the very glorification it pretends to reject. First of all, I'm pretty sure he never says that it is anti-war. It is.
No, it's a story about what happens at war.
Yeah, it's an objective look at warfare. Once again,
yes,
it is not about the horrors of war. If anything, it's about the horrors of warfare. Very, very, very different.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And in fact, calling it how it has. I mean, I'm sure there is someone, but in general, I do not believe that people think, wow, what a cool thing. I want to go become a soldier now. This movie made me want to join up, or whatever.
If anyone saw this, saw Elliot and Sam's legs be blown to shreds, and thought, yeah, I want to experience that, then you're dumb.
Or just watching everyone, like, not understanding where they are. They're like holding back tears. They
yeah.
Everyone is, well, you don't
literally
say
panicking.
Yeah, you don't say shell shocked, but basically shell shocked. Yeah, like, yeah. There is no glorification here. Does he mean? No. Does he think that it's glorifying it because it's very realistic and almost looks like a video game sometimes when they are very like ho 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 and they use all the lingo, all the soldier lingo, like bravo Mike, 3 minutes.
That's just what they do. That's realistic.
Yeah.
That's not glorifying anything.
Exactly. And that's...
that person should watch the movie again, specifically the credits. Look at the dude who comes rolling up in the fucking wheelchair and say that to him. Say that he glorified this.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the dude doesn't have his legs anymore, he would punch him out.
Yeah.
Because that is not glorifying. This movie is not glorifying anything.
No.
It's celebrating a little bit these heroes that survived this.
Yeah, that saved their friends.
Yeah.
Because
they even, like, as they roll out, they're dead silent.
Yeah.
Because they are like, we're out of this, finally, but what the fuck was this?
Yeah.
They're destroyed, probably.
Yeah. And also, kind of going back to what we talked about before, to say that this doesn't show, like, the aftermath, I think is, yes, we don't really see a lot of it. There's no big dramatic scene where one of the civilians gets shot. And their children, the children are like, no, my daddy was shot. There's nothing like that, because first of all, that didn't happen. The civilians survived.
Yeah.
Because the soldiers did their job. They kept them safe. Yeah.
They literally hovered over them for explosions.
Yeah, they did take over their house and smash a wall, but Hey,
honestly,
once again, we're not saying that everything is good here. It's just what happened.
No. That's war. I'm sorry.
But then also, I think the ending does a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to symbolism, because as soon as the tanks leave, everything goes quiet, and you see almost in like a comedy shot, you see the dad or whatever, the male guy from one of the families in the house.
Yeah.
He calls the woman's sister, so maybe they're siblings, whatever. He walks out and he just looks, because the whole like there's holes everywhere. The top floor is completely destroyed from the tanks.
Yeah. And
there's like a thick layer of like smoke and dust in there, and you see him like stick his head out and he just goes like, "What the hell, man?" And the camera just whip. But it was almost like, oh, it's a little in a weird way, kind of funny. He's just like, what the hell? But that also shows
exactly what happens.
They do show the aftermath. They just leave, and now this family's left to pick up the pieces. The family lived upstairs doesn't have a home anymore.
Yeah.
And the same thing then when they cut to the streets outside. We mentioned it. As soon as the tanks leave, the mujahideen just like come out of the like they didn't accomplish anything.
No, exactly. This was a moment in time that was very unnecessary.
It shows that this mission, or whatever we're going to call it, this operation, much like most missions, probably, not everyone, but many missions, and the war in general, is pointless.
Yeah.
It's not... I do not see the glorification anywhere.